7 o'clock on a Saturday. That means it's Aussie Maille Go live session. Something like that anyway. Sorry we're a couple of minutes late. Slight breathing technicality going on. Okay, alright, just bear with me while I call up your comments. Excuse me, if you guys can just, if you're watching, give me a little shout out so I can make sure I can see all your comments properly. Okay. Hey, Hazel, how are you? Hey, Alison, good morning. Annette, how you going? Excuse me, guys. Pauline, how are you? And Diane. Hey, Jane, you made it. Dawn. Shirley. Well, I'm glad you found us, love. Hey, Michael and Joe. Hey, Ruth, Marion. Dana, how are you, sweetheart? Silva. Okay, fabulous. All right, so I can see everybody's comments. Everything seems to be working okay. Wonderful. Okay. Rugby is on. Oh, I'm surprised you hear Daryl at all then. Hey, Tracy. Well, I can't personally see you, Kerry, but I can see your comment. Hey, Leanne. Fabulous. Donna, hi, how are you, sweetheart? All right, guys. Okay, so we're doing Waterlily Elfweave today. And, excuse me. And I'll just flip this over to the next other camera. Hey, Bonnie. Welcome aboard. And I'll show you some of the samples I did up today, and we can have a start. All right. Fabulous. Okay. So the tutorial that went out only had one set of sizes, but I played around with some sizes today and got some more up. Hey, Narakai, I hope that's how we pronounced your name. Welcome aboard. I'm glad that you're here with us. Okay, so as I said, the tutorial that went out to the Maille Club subscribers only had the one set of sizes on it, which is all I had at the time. But I did a little bit of playing around today and came up with some new sizes. So if you want these sizes, you'll have to write them down, guys, because they're not on the tutorial. So this is the 14 and 16 gauge version. 14 gauge, and when I say 14 gauge, that's 1.6 millimeter or 14 gauge AWG. The ring size we've used for the big outer rings and the coloured rings is 1/4 inch. And this little ring here that you can see in the middle, bring it up closer, this stabilizing ring, that's 16 gauge, 4.5 millimeters. So that's the 14 gauge, nice and chunky. Okay, the 16 and 18 gauge version. So the outer rings and the coloured rings are 3/16, and the small stabilizing ring in the middle is 18 gauge in 3.75. So these are 16 gauge or 1.2 mils, and this one in here is 18 gauge. Okay, and next one we've done is 18 gauge and a 20 gauge version. 18 gauge being 1 mil, so the 18 gauge rings are 5/32, so that's this ring here, and the colour ring on the inside, which might be a little bit hard to see in the lavender pink on the camera, but it looks beautiful in real life. And the 20 gauge ring, stabilizing ring in the middle, is 3 mils. And then we went down to a teeny weeny 20 gauge version. The outside rings and the coloured rings are 1/8, and the stabilizing ring in the middle there is 2.75. The tute is in this one, Hazel, which is the 16 and the 18 gauge version. So that's the one that the tube is in. I will type up in the events the other sizes. I didn't have them originally. As I said, I only just did these pieces up today, had to play around with the sizes and came up with those today. Okay, so we'll be working in the 14 gauge. The 20 gauge one is both 20 gauge, yes, both sizes are 20 gauge. The others are using 2 different sizes. I didn't feel like going down to a 22 gauge ring, and I didn't think it was necessary. So the 20 gauge is 1/8 and 2.75. Or, you know, you could put a 7/64 in there if you wanted to have the stabilizing ring colored as well. Hey Ashley, you stayed up. I'm glad you could join us. The blue. You must be talking about the little one, which is actually purple. Wes, is that the 20 gauge? Is that what you're talking about? Okay. All right, let me just... Yeah, that's actually... It must be coming across blue, but it's actually purple, believe it or not. Okay, all right. I think I've covered everybody. Oh, look, purple... purple is notorious for coming out blue. The camera's probably a bit on the cold side. That's why it's looking blue. Just needs to be warmed up. All right, guys, we'll make a start. So I'm working in the 14 gauge tonight so that you can get a nice close look. So you need to make a basic chain about twice the length plus an additional 5 centimeters roughly. It will scooch up on you a bit, and I find you need that extra 5 centimeters on the length. So twice the length that you need the chain, plus you'll probably need an additional 5 centimeters in total. So, you know, about 2.5 centimeters on each half of the chain. The middle of the chain we swap out for our contrasting color. So you can see I've got green here. So that's the dead center of the chain. Pop in a contrasting one there. Tie a twist tie around it to give you something to hold on to. I was wondering who was going to say to warm it up. Okay. All right. So like the elephant that we did before, this one is a little bit fiddly with the holding the rings in place. I will do my best to get the good camera shots for you. But it is a little fiddly, guys, so apologies in advance. All right, so what we want to do is we want to position our rings like this. So you've got our, in this case, a green ring. The next set of rings sit on the outside. So the first pair sit on the outside of the second pair. So we've got rings going out and then rings going in. And what we want to do is we want to form this eye with all these, and we're going to be putting a ring through that eye there. I'll bring that up a bit closer. We're going to pop a ring straight through all those. So like with the Elfweave. Okay, and we're going to do that in our contrasting color. Okay, so through that eye, making sure you get both of those pairs of rings, so they go through all 4 rings through the eye. And we close that weave up, or that ring up, sorry. Okay, and then we're going to want to, so it looks like this. So you can see we've got that ring going through the eye, through both sides. And then holding that, we want to flip our work over. And this time, the second pair of rings is on the outside, and the third pair of rings is on the inside. So every new set of rings go on the inside of the previous set. And we want to pop a ring in this eye here, making sure we go through all of the rings. So straight through there. You see that goes through the whole 4. Yeah, John, I can see you, or Ray, or whoever that is that's there. Don't worry, if the comments aren't scrolling for you, they're certainly scrolling for me. Okay, so we pop that colour ring through the eye, through both, going through all 4 rings. And we close that up. Okay, and holding on to our work, we flip it back to the other side. Okay, the old set of rings is these ones here on the outside. The new set, the set that don't have any rings through them yet, is on the inside. You can see we've got the first green ring we added here, the second green ring here. So we're going to pop another one in through this eye that's formed by the previous pair of rings and the new pair of rings that are sitting inside. I'm going to pop that through there. Now I know people were sort of hoping for a trick to get those rings in. I don't really have one to offer you, I'm afraid. It's just a matter of practicing and seeing where those rings go, keeping a lookout for the placement and popping the rings in. Okay, so we've got 3 contrast rings in place, and that's basically what we do for the length of the bracelet. Hi Scott, glad you could make it. Ashley, yes, it's doing better. Certainly a lot better than I was a couple of weeks ago. Thank you. Getting there. Okay, so then we just, holding on to our work, flip it back over again. So the pair of rings that were just on the inside are now on the outside, and we make sure that our new set of rings go in on the inside there. Okay, taking out one of our colour rings, we're going to put it through the first eye, through the second eye, and close it up. Okay, flip our work back over again. Thanks. So we've got our previous set of rings on the outside, our new set of rings on the inside, taking up one of our colour rings, we put it through that first eye, put it through the second eye, and we close it all up. It's actually an awl I'm using to go to show you where the eye is. But yes, any piece of wire will help you if you needed to move that out. Rochelle, the pliers are Zurons. This is the short nose plier in my right hand, and this is the chisel nose that's in my left hand. These have pretty much become my go-to pliers. When I was doing the thinner gauges, I was flipping the chisel nose over because I needed to get into really tight places, and the point of the chisel nose was brilliant for that. With the thicker gauges, though, I don't need to do that. Oh, Mike, that's not good. You have my sympathies. Okay, so we've popped a ring in there. I'm going to flip her over. Okay, previous rings on the outside, the new rings on the inside. We put the coloured one through the first eye and then through the second eye, and we close it up. Okay, so you do that down the length of your bracelet, and that is basically Elfweave. The Zurons, Rochelle, yes I do. They're on our website in the pliers section. Okay, so you flatten your weave out, and this is Elfweave, which is the basis of Waterlily. Elfweave is unfortunately an unstable weave, and you can see it has a tendency to fold back on itself again and just become what looks like a bit of a jumbled mess of rings. So what a lot of the variations do in Elfweave is that they stabilize the weave so that it keeps its shape a little bit better. Okay, so we're going to use one of our stabilizing rings. So this is the smaller ring that was in the kit. So those that got the kit, this is the 18 gauge 3.75. I'm using 16 gauge 4.5. Now there's nothing particularly elegant about getting this ring in. It takes a little bit of fiddling, but what we want to do is we want to see if I can show with the awl. Get this nice and close. It goes through those two silver rings in the middle, but around the eye that's formed by the two colour rings. Well, I can't quite do it with a straight piece of wire, but basically it goes in through here, underneath this colour ring here, and it comes back up through the middle of the colour ring on top. So you're basically going, oh, I can do it this way is easier. It goes around the eye that's formed by the two colour rings whilst going through the middle of the silver rings. So I hope that makes sense. I'll give it a go. As I said, it's not particularly elegant to see. I'm not sure you're going to be able to get any fabulous techniques out of watching, but basically you just put it in here, you scoop up underneath that green ring, and you can see it comes up through the middle of the other green ring on top. We make sure we keep that in the middle of the silver rings. I'll flip the pliers around this time. I'm going to maneuver it into position, and then we close that up. Yeah, look, it is. I'm not going to fib and say it's not tricky. It certainly is tricky. So making sure you hold the weave with that first green ring weave, or the first colour ring, on top. Okay, you can see the first ring we placed is on top, not underneath like it is on the back. So the first green ring we placed on top, it goes in between these two silver rings in the middle, through the second green ring, back up through the top green ring, but it makes sure it encircles the eye, that it doesn't go through the eye that those rings form. I'm going to show you in the back. You can see that little ring in there. If I can get that close enough, you can see that. Hi, Ashton. Yeah, guys, it's just practice. Unfortunately, it's very tight. I don't think I can show you a very good picture. So we want it to go, if you look at if I can get this here, it goes in through there, okay, underneath this green ring. Make sure it goes underneath this green ring. You then bring it back up and it comes up through here, and then you close it up. Alright, so I'll just show you with the ring. As I said, it's a little bit fiddly. There's nothing elegant about it. You just keep wiggling it until you get it in there. Okay, you can see the ring there. You see that in place. And we close out. This is a weave that would be a lot easier to show face to face. It's a little difficult to get all the angles that are needed with the camera. The stabilizing rings sit on top, Wes. They don't sit underneath, so they don't dig in at all. Underneath you can see the stabilizing rings are actually internalized. So they don't dig into you at all. That ridge that's caused by the stabilizing rings is the top of your weave, not the bottom of it. Yes, it only catches the colour rings, Donna, that's right. You're going around the eye of the two colour rings, just making sure you keep it in the middle of the silver rings at all time, so that it only goes around. Okay, so I'll pop another one in for you. So you can see in there, I'm going to go in between these two silver rings that are here, underneath the green ring, and then I'm going to bring it back up so it comes up through the middle of the top green ring, keeping it in the middle of the silver rings there. Okay. And there it is. You can see that. Okay, so I just need to pop some more green rings in. I've run out of green rings. Okay. Yeah, you really need to do your prep work. Makes it easier to just jump in and weave. Okay. Just add a couple more green rings. Okay. All right, so we'll give away a copy of the tutorial as we always do. So this is only while we're live. So if you're interested in getting a copy of the tutorial free, we'll send that out to you via Facebook. So I do need to message you for those that are new. If I can't message you, then I can't send the tutorial to you. If you just pop in the comments, let me see, I really should come prepared for these, shouldn't I? Pop in the comments What could it be tonight? Pop in the comments whether you want to. I can't think of anything. Good grief, I'm drawing a total blank. Just pop in the comments whether, I don't know. Tell me what the name of your town is. Let's do it. Easy. Easy. Pop in the comments the name of your town. And that way I'll know that you are interested in a PDF. We'll send that out to you. Probably we'll have it out in the next, usually by about Tuesday we get it out to everybody. So if you do that, if you want a copy of the tutorial, tell me the name of your town or your city, your suburb, your village, whatever it is you live in, and we'll send you a copy of the tutorial. Okay, so I'm going to try and put this another silver stabilizing ring in for you. Okay, so we're going to put it into this one here, and you can see we're going to go in through here, and that will take us in between the silver rings and under that first green ring. And then as you bring your ring up, it naturally goes into the green ring up the top, keeping it in between the two silver rings, and we close it up. You can see that. All right, so one more time. Okay, we're going to put it in there. It's a bit fiddly because we're at the end of my chain. So in under the green ring, and we keep bringing that up. You can see that there. Goes around the eye, up through the top green ring, keeping it in between the silver rings, and we close it up. Okay, and that's what we look like. So has everybody got that, or do they want me to take it a little bit further? Beautiful. Okay, is everybody happy with that? Does look fabulous, doesn't it? And there is a whole range of these Elfweave weaves, Waterlily being one of them. Hopefully we'll get a few more done. Alright, so before we go, I will just go over the weave sizes, ring sizes again, because as I said, they're not in the tutorial at this stage. So especially for those that received the tutorial early. So the 14 gauge is a 1/4 inch. So the big rings are a 1/4 inch, 1.6 times by 1/4 inch, or 6.35. And the stabilizing ring in the middle is 16 gauge, 1.2 mils, with the 4.5 millimeter ID. 16 gauge is what's on the tutorial, so that's 3/16 with an 18 gauge of 3.75. And the 18 and 20 gauge versions, so the 18 gauge rings are 5/32, and the stabilizing ring in the middle, that is 20 gauge, and that's a 3mm ID. And our teeny tiny 20 gauge version, 1/8 for the bigger rings, and the stabilizing ring in the middle is 2.75. Yeah, there's a few different versions, Donna, with where the placement of the stabilizing rings are. I have to do 1 in inches because that's what the colour rings come in, silver. I don't have AA in millimetres, so I'm forced to work in inches for the colour rings. And the stabilizing rings can be anything that's close to that. So if you don't want to use a 4.5, you can try perhaps 5/32. That gives you a full mil. I don't know if that'll work. I haven't tried it. Or you could try the 3/16. But whenever I use coloured rings, I use the imperial, and they're listed on our website in their imperial sizes, so it's just easier to say the inch size. Okay. All right, so hopefully everybody's got all of that. As I said, the people that put their names down or commented for a tutorial will have that out generally by Tuesday. It gets out to you guys, so don't panic. It will be on its way. If you haven't received it by about Tuesday and you think you should have, send me a line. I do need to send it to you via Facebook, so just make sure I can send you messages. To the guys that are in the Maille Club, you should have received or are still receiving your July kits. Hopefully all that will arrive beforehand. If you're concerned about your kits, if you haven't got them, contact us. We do have tracking on all those parcels, so we can see where they are if perhaps you haven't received yours. For those that are interested in the Maille Club subscription, we're all filled up for our July, so it would be August for the next subscription, but you can sign up for that on our website. Just look for the Maille Club up, and Chris has popped a link up for you. You got your July kits in it. That's fantastic. So yeah, you get, for those that don't know about the Saturday Nighters Maille Club, you basically get all the kits in advance for the next month. We still only release the tutorials once a week, so that's a surprise for everybody. But you get a copy of the PDF before anybody else gets there, so you get to have a look and a little bit of play beforehand if that's what you want to do. If Donna, I'm not 100% sure. We did have a couple of people who subscribed after the cutoff date, so I would have to double check. But you may not get yours until the August one. So that's all good. So next Wednesday we will put up the first of the July weaves on our Facebook page under the events, and everybody who is a subscriber will get a copy of that tutorial sent out to you. Glad you all like the little prezi. It's not much, but we thought we might send you that. Hopefully you'll get some use out of it. Okay, so if everybody is cool, if there's no questions or anything like that. Okay. Miss Deb and Mr. Chris. You're very welcome, Mr. Wetz. All right. Also, don't forget, people that are part of the Aussie Mailers Facebook group, we also have the chat open now that Wes started for us, the Discord. You can find that in the Aussie Mailers group. I notice a couple of people have been using it to jump on and and chat to each other. No, I'm a frowner, Susie. Always have been, always will be. Can't you tell by the furrows that are in my forehead? I don't know what keychain you got, Hazel. There were actually 3 different styles in the keychains that went out. So there was a Byzantine, a half Persian 4-in-1, and I think the other one was Hoodoo from memory. So they were all different ones. I don't know who got what. It was all completely random. All done in 14 gauge, but I can't remember ring sizes off the top of my head. Okay. All right, if everyone's cool with that. Don't forget, if you get your piece finished, pop it up in the Aussie Mailers group. We'd love to see where people are going for it, and if you have a problem with it, ask some questions. We certainly hope that you guys get some use out of the videos, but if you, as I said, this one's a little bit tricky to demonstrate on the camera, and also to write the tutorial for. It's a little hard to see. Alrighty then. Well, if everyone is good, we'll leave it at that. Okay. Alright guys, well thank you very much for popping along. Really great to see you all. Hope it's not too difficult. And as I said, like to see your final pieces in Aussie Mailers. Alright, I'll catch you next week then. Take care all. Bye.